from pharaoh who ruled more than 3,000 years ago. The Interior Ministry said it was stolen by a conservation worker at the museum who sold it to a jeweller she knew for $3,700. And that's the latest BBC World News.
Hello and welcome to News Hour. It's coming to you live from the BBC World Service studios in central London. I'm Tim Franks and I'm speaking to you unusually not looking at my computer screen or looking at my script, but looking at a bank of television monitors because we're expecting any moment now for there to be a joint news conference between Donald Trump and Keir Starmer at the end of Donald Trump's second state visit to the United Kingdom. State visit because his host has been King Charles, and he's had all the pageantry and pomp and flummery and partying which goes along with that. That happened by and large yesterday and culminated in a glittering banquet at Windsor Castle. Today has been more about the politics, and he's been at the Prime Minister's country residence, not far from Windsor Castle, to discuss some of what you might imagine to be maybe the more gnarly issues, such as Ukraine, Gaza, of course, as well as trade deals and trade wars. There has been a trade deal that has been announced today. The British Prime Minister hailed it as the biggest deal, I should say, that has ever been signed of its nature between the two countries. $250 billion worth, he reckoned he'd valued it at. But we're waiting now for what could be the more freewheeling bit of the visit, which is the conference, the news conference with journalists, and there are British and American journalists waiting to log those questions. Our political correspondent Rob Watson is at Chequers at the Prime Minister's country residence. And Rob, I suppose the thing to say is that we don't quite know what will come up, but there's plenty that could.
Well, plenty that could, and a Downing Street official told me that they thought that they might last for as long as 40-50 minutes. Plenty of opportunity for all sorts of areas to be explored. I mean, I think what the British side would be worried about are too many questions about Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier, the convicted sex offender. I think they'd be rather worried about that. I think they'd be rather worried if Donald Trump gets invited to speculate about all sorts of aspects of British politics, like whether he would prefer the leader of Reform, Nigel Farage, to be Prime Minister than Sir Keir Starmer. So they'd be worried about the freewheeling side. I think what they'd probably be better prepared for are the known disagreements over issues like Ukraine, where of course it's central to British foreign policy to be supportive of Ukraine, President Trump less so, and of course the Middle East and Gaza as well, where it's well known that the United Kingdom is on the verge of recognising a Palestinian state, and that Donald Trump and his administration think wrong time, wrong idea. So that there are some, to go back to a previous senior figure in American politics, Donald Rumsfeld, Tim. There are those are the known knowns, as it were. I think it's just about to start,
yes,
actually, because everyone
and journalists standing up, which normally presages the entrance of the Commander-in-Chief, not of the British Prime Minister, but the Commander-in-Chief. American journalists standing up for him. I think British journalists, in their way, staying rooted. But yes, it's as if the two men are going to the podium now. We'll tune in.
Mr. President, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Chequers. This historic second state visit is a moment to celebrate the unique bond between our two countries. But today we've gone far beyond that. We've renewed the special relationship for a new era. The United Kingdom, the United States stand together today as first partners on defence, first partners in trade, with the groundbreaking deal we struck in May, but now with the new agreement that we've just signed this afternoon, we're confirming our status as the first partners in science and technology, ready to define this century together, just as we did the partnership has the power to change lives. It's our chance to ensure that technologies like AI, quantum, and others amplify human potential, solve problems, cure diseases, make us richer and freer, strengthen the cause of democracy, not tyranny. This is the territory on which the future will be won. So this partnership today is a signal of our determination to win this race together and to ensure it brings real benefits in jobs, in growth, in lower bills, to put more hard-earned capital in people's pockets at the end of each month. That's what we're determined to do. And we're bringing businesses with us. We've just come from a fantastic meeting with business leaders where we set out this vision. They have responded with new deals and investment, breaking every record that we have. £250 billion flowing both ways across the Atlantic. That is a record. Expected to create 15,000 jobs here in the United Kingdom. High-skilled jobs in cutting-edge sectors where people can build careers for the long term, changing lives in communities up and down our country. And look, while we shape this bond for a new era, the fundamentals have not changed. Security remains the cornerstone of this special relationship. We have the deepest, most advanced defence relationship in the world. Our warriors train together and they fight together. Our industries build together. Everything from fast jets to enormous class submarines. So now, as we drive up defence spending, we have to show our working together on new defence technologies so we can stay ahead of our adversaries. We're united in defence and security. Yes, absolutely. We're also united in the pursuit of peace. We are working together to end the humanitarian catastrophe in the Middle East, get the aid in, free the hostages, and ultimately bring Israel and the region back towards a comprehensive plan which can deliver peace and security for Israelis and Palestinians alike. We're also working together to end the killing in Ukraine. In recent days, Putin has shown his true face, mounting the biggest attacks since the invasion began, with yet more bloodshed, yet more innocents killed, and unprecedented violations of NATO airspace. These are not the actions of someone who wants peace. So we've discussed today how we can build our defences further, support Ukraine, and decisively increase the pressure on Putin to get him to agree a peace deal that will last. And President Trump, you have led the way there, and we will continue to stand and work together for security and for peace. Mr. President, next year we'll celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States. We've come on a long journey together since 1776, and it's no exaggeration to say that the partnership our two nations have has shaped the world, from the beaches of Normandy to the founding of NATO, to the creation of technologies that have revolutionized our lives. Time and time again, it is British and American men and women side by side, changing the path of history and turning it towards our values, towards freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. In Britain, we take huge pride in that. And let's be clear, this relationship is not just about history, it's about the future. It's about the benefits it delivers now and for decades to come, make our people safer and better off. We've shown today that we're delivering those benefits, improving people's lives. So we will go into that anniversary year more optimistic than ever and more confident than ever about our two great nations and what they can achieve side by side. Thank you. And it is now my pleasure to give the floor to Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, very much. Prime Minister Starmer, Melania and I are tremendously thankful for the wonderful hospitality that you and Lady Starmer have extended today at Chequers. Quite the place, I must say, quite the place. And we're grateful beyond words for the spectacular honor of the state visit yesterday at Windsor Castle, hosted by His Majesty King Charles III and Her Majesty Queen Camilla. These are two fantastic people. We will never forget it. As I said last night, the bond between our countries is like no other anywhere in the world. The United States and the United Kingdom have done more good on this planet than any two nations in human history. That is thanks in large part to the traditions of British liberty, which grew up on these isles, these beautiful, magnificent isles, and were carried by our ancestors to the New World. We're forever joined, and we are forever friends, and we will always be friends. This enduring connection is why I was thrilled that the United Kingdom was the very first country with which we made a historic trade deal, and a very good trade deal. He's a tough negotiator. I think it was a better deal for you than us, but these are minor details.
It's a very good deal for both.
He's a great negotiator. We'll extend our unparalleled security alliance into the realm of economic security for the first time, and I look forward to finalizing it very soon. We'll have it done very quickly. We have also just signed a historic technology prosperity deal, one of a kind, to ensure our countries lead the next great technological revolution side by side. In fact, we just left the business leaders, the biggest in the world. Some are in this room right now. And that was quite a meeting we had on business and trade and technology. This trip has galvanized $350 billion in deals across many sectors, and we're committed to ensuring that the UK has a secure and reliable supply of the best AI hardware and software on Earth. And we supply that, and we'll make sure we supply it in quantity to the UK. We also are joining forces on quantum computing and nuclear power, a natural partnership for close allies. The United States, as you probably have heard, is doing better than it has ever done in terms of business and investment. The stock market has hit a new high, as you know, and that's for many, many days out of our fairly short 8 months. And we seem to be hitting new highs, and I think we're going to do much better even as time goes by. Jobs are at a record, and most importantly, we have more than $17 trillion. $17 trillion, and this is during an 8-month period being invested in the country, which is not only a record, but if you compare $17 trillion to the last year of the Biden administration, they did $250 billion. They didn't do $1 trillion for the 4-year period. We did $17 trillion of investment coming in. A lot of it's because of tariffs, and a lot of it's for a lot of other reasons, but there's never been anything like it. It's an economic superstar. That's what it's become. It's mismanaged and badly handled for a long period of time, but it's not badly handled anymore. So that's a record, and remember, that's up until 8 months. We have another few months to go, and that number is going to get significantly higher, especially if we win a certain case that we're waiting to hear. That will be something like the world has never seen. I want to congratulate the United Kingdom on making the vital commitment to spend 5% of GDP on defense at the NATO summit this year. We've worked together very closely in so many ways. I'm very honored to tell you that we've solved 7 wars, wars that were unsolvable, wars that couldn't be negotiated or done. The U.S. has done 7 of them. The one that I thought would be easiest would be because of my relationship with President Putin, but he's let me down. He's really let me down. It was going to be Russia and Ukraine, but we'll see how that turns out. But that turned out to be, I thought it might be among the easiest of the group. But we had settled just about every conflict, and as you know, we're working very hard on Israel and Gaza. All that's happening over there. Complex, but it's going to get done. It'll all get done right. And likewise, Russia and Ukraine will get done. But it's, you never know in war. You know, war is a different thing. Things happen that are very opposite of what you thought. You thought you were going to have an easy time or a hard time, and it turns out to be the reverse. As we saw in the unforgettable parade yesterday at Windsor Castle, what a place it is. The British Armed Forces carry on one of the finest military traditions in the world, one of the greatest marching bands, one of the most magnificent sights I've seen. I know that our service members look forward, and we do look so forward to working even more closely with yours as you push toward that 5% goal. And I think, Mr. Prime Minister, you're just about there. You're going to be there very quickly, along with a lot of other great countries. I want to thank NATO and our wonderful head of NATO, who's really worked very hard, Mark, for the job they've done. As you know, NATO was at 2% GDP, and they didn't pay it. Now they're at 5%, then they pay it. And we appreciate that. And we're sending a lot of weapons to NATO. NATO is paying for those weapons in full. But we're sending them, and we're doing a great job at getting them what they need. And we appreciate the fact that they're taking care of, because the United States is into that war for $350 billion. And just really very sad. Just got out of control. They didn't know what they were doing. But over the generations, British and American warriors have shed their blood side by side in defense of liberty and freedom. And that's why it's so imperative that the United States and the United Kingdom stand together for these fundamental rights and values of the English-speaking world. And we've always stood together, and we will continue to. Just last week, a great American, Charlie Kirk, was heinously assassinated for speaking his mind. He was a great young man. Incredible future. Some people said he might be president someday. I told him, I said, Charlie, I think you have a good shot someday at being president. And he just wanted to take care of youth. He loved youth. I've never seen anybody relate to youth like Charlie. And they related to him, and they're devastated. But I appreciate the many British citizens who have offered their condolences. And again, Charlie was a great person. We'll be going out to a service on Sunday. I'll be leaving with some of the people in this room just to celebrate Charlie and all that he's done. So incredible. Never seen anything like it. But I hope that together our nations can lead a movement to defend the glorious traditions of freedom on both sides of the Atlantic. There could be no greater tribute to the immortal bonds of affection and loyalty that unite the British and the American people for all of time. We have a relationship like no other. It will always be that way. We will always be united. We'll always be together. And I just want to thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for the great job I think you're doing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Donald Trump making his opening remarks at that joint news conference alongside the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. We'll listen back in now here on this special edition of News Hour from the BBC World Service to the questions from the journalists.
Chris Mason, BBC News. Mr. President, the UK is expected to recognise a Palestinian state in the coming days as the killing in Gaza continues. It often seems that you're the only person that Israel will listen to. What more can you say to them to tell them to stop? Why is the UK's position on a Palestinian state, in your view, wrong? And Prime Minister, what will the recognition of a Palestinian state actually achieve? Is it not just gesture politics to appease people in your own party? Thank you both.
Well, Chris, let me just start that because we discussed this amongst other things. We had best part of an hour, I think, upstairs earlier today, just one-to-one, going through a number of affairs, world affairs, in private. And we absolutely agree on the need for peace and a roadmap, because the situation in Gaza is intolerable. The hostages being held for a very, very long time, but they must be.
said, not even a little bit. Amazing, to think that during this stay, long stay, in some cases, we had a man the other day, 451 days he was there. I always ask that question. And was there any warmth, just a little word, encouragement? And the answer is every time, absolutely not. I'm shocked to hear it, because in the worst cases, there's always somebody that comes through. We have to remember October 7th, one of the worst, most violent days in the history of the world, not just there, in the history of the world. And I got to see the tapes, and I wish I didn't see them, actually, but I got to see them. And I want an end. I want the hostages released, and I think it's going to be okay. But it has been a brutal period of time. But this has been going on for a long time. This is not something that's over the last year, 2 years, but this has been for decades and decades. But we want it to end. We have to have the hostages back immediately. That's what the people of Israel want. They want them back, and we want the fighting to stop, and it's going to stop. But a lot of bad things. Hamas said that they're going to put the hostages up as bait. They're going to put the hostages in front of any attack, and that's pretty brutal. We haven't heard that one in a long time, so we have to remember that. So I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score. One of our few disagreements, actually.
Can I take Jack from the Sun? Jack.
Thank you very much, Jack Nelson. We're just going to break away from that news conference. We'll stay across it, of course, but we're going to break away for a couple of minutes whilst we take a news summary. We're listening to a special edition of News Hour on the BBC World Service. We're covering that closing news conference at the end of Donald Trump's second state visit to the United Kingdom. More of that to come in just a couple of minutes.
This is the BBC World Service, and Dr. Sally LePage is taking us deep into the bacterial underworld.
We are not alone. Inside and outside of our bodies is a hidden realm of microscopic loners and crowd lovers, of heroes and traitors.
They change what behaviors they carry out based on whether they're around friends or enemies.
I'll be exploring how bacteria interact with one another and how, just like us, they don't always play nice. You're saying that it blows itself up in order to release these weapons to kill their cousins?
Yeah.
By decoding their behavior, we could fight disease, outsmart antibiotic resistance, and even help to heal the planet.
The social lives of bacteria, today at 19 GMT.
Coming up on News Hour, the next 30 minutes will bring you, again, that news conference is happening right now between the US President Donald Trump and the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. President Trump is drawing to the end of his unprecedented second state visit to Britain. It's the first time this honour has been given to a non-royal, and we'll be covering the issues that they've been covering after this summary of news.